The Big Ten Conference just signed a $7 billion television deal. And that is a number so astronomical that I can't even begin to think about counting that high. This revolves around college football. And when you see information like this, it is only going to further push the issue that college athletes, in particular football players, should be paid. I'm not here to say that the Big Ten is not exploiting its college athletes. I think it's safe to say that a pretty good argument could be made to say that they are, at least for their football players. And we could probably make that same argument for the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12 and the Pac-12. That is the entirety of the Power 5. But that being said, there is nowhere near as much money in college football as you may think. And that is because a few schools are basically hogging all of it. And if you are a recruit, that matters, because you can't pay people with money that doesn't exist. The fact of the matter is that the money in college sports is incredibly concentrated at the top. And I'm talking about the top teams in the most popular sports, with the highest rankings in Division I. This money will only go to a very small number of schools. And remember, college football is king whenever we're having a conversation about money changing hands in college sports. When you watch college football on major network TV, you're generally going to be exposed to the top 25 ranked programs throughout Division I FBS, all of which offer head count scholarships to as many as 85 football players on an annual basis. And the moment that you leave FBS, that whole scholarship model changes itself up really quickly, because in FCS and everywhere on down, it is at the very best an equivalency sport where coaches have fewer scholarships available than the number of athletes that they will have on their team. And they will have to break some of those scholarship dollars up in order to ensure that most of their athletes get even a slice of the pie. What you need to know about this scholarship system is that when a program is under an equivalency designation, which is everybody else who is not in FBS, you are not required to be funded at the maximum allowable limit that the NCAA may offer you. Just because the NCAA rules suggest that a Division II program can give up to 36 full scholarships out to their football team doesn't mean that the school is going to actually choose to do it. Scholarships are not fake money. It is very real dollars. And if they don't have the money to give out, then they'll just give whatever they got. If a school can only afford 20 scholarships for their Division II football team, then that is what they're going to go with. And they're going to ask that college coach to stretch that 20 scholarship amount to field a roster of 80 players or more. The bottom line here is that Division I FBS football is the only category that has the potential to make real money when we even talk about college football dollars. And everyone else is just trying to get by. And if FBS football programs are the only ones with the real potential to make legitimate money from their college athletic product, then the question now becomes, why is that? Because it's not just about the scholarships. The scholarships are an investment, and that investment is in a product that goes to network television. Major television contracts, and I mean national syndication. No disrespect to something that is more or less an online webcast. That is always where the big money comes from. So an FBS program is always trying to figure out, when are we going to be on national television? And how big is the contract going to be for when we do? If we sit down with the actual numbers and forget about what the Big Ten is doing, if you travel down to the back half of FBS, the Sun Belt Conference, and the Conference USA even, they only cashed out about $500,000 per football program for all of their members in their conference. A $500K payout is nowhere near what a program in the ACC or the SEC is expecting, because they're hoping to see $20 million or more. Using the Conference USA and the Sun Belt as a benchmark, we can basically assume how much money will be left over for anyone else who is not at that level. FCS and down will not be able to make more than $500,000 from a television payout. If you're keeping score at home, the amount of money UTEP has to spend on scholarships alone is at least 3 times whatever their conference television budget payout actually is. This means that the schools at the bottom of FBS might as well be dogs waiting for the scraps to fall off of the table from all the other programs at the top half of FBS. And what if that make Division II, FCS, and don't even get me started on Division III. They might as well be beggars waiting outside the house for the trash to go out to see if there's anything left on the bone. This is the real reason why programs outside of Division I are underfunded. Forget about paying the players. Most of these programs, not named LSU or USC, are just trying to figure out how to balance the checkbook. The conversation about paying college athletes is not a new one, but it should be grounded in reality. If you're playing college football games on national television consistently, then there very well may be enough money to trickle all the way down to the players. But most college football players will be playing in stadiums that might be 10,000 or 5,000 or even 2,000 seats. And the only television coverage that they will have will come from a web camera, where if you don't stream the link, you will not be watching. If you are someone who is in favor of paying the college athletes, I am totally fine with that. But we need to be aware that paying the athletes will not mean paying all of the athletes, or even most of them, because it is virtually impossible to pay people with money that does not exist.